Hi, my name is Pooja Patel.
I'm a registered nurse and diabetes educator from Toronto, Canada.
Welcome to another episode of Wellness Chronicles.
With Wellness Chronicles, my purpose is to disseminate and provide as much evidence-based and expert information so that way you are able to recognize, manage, and even reverse those diabetes symptoms in the most easiest, simplest way possible.
Lifestyle change is very, very difficult in and of itself, let alone doing it alone. Wellness Chronicles, it serves as a medium that is encouraging, supportive, and is motivating to actually implement those lifestyle changes to lead a happy, healthy life. My pro tip for this week is after you eat, after a meal, don't sit down on the couch and watch Netflix or scroll through Instagram. Move your body for 5 to 7 minutes. Be as active as possible for the first 5 to 7 minutes after your meal. What this will do is this will help decrease the insulin resistance and decrease your sugar spike after your meal. So that 2-hour post-meal sugar will be much more steady and it'll be much lower. So move your body, be active for at least 5 to 7 minutes after a meal. So that brings me to the pro tip of this episode. So as I mentioned, a weight reduction of overall 5 to 10% of body weight actually creates significant decrease in insulin resistance and decreases your A1C significantly, which is very, very good, not just for your diabetic health, but overall health, cardiovascular, renal, your brain function, your eyes, everything. So how do you decrease that weight? How do you get that 5 to 10% overall weight reduction? Interrupt that sedentary behavior. So if you are sitting for 8 hours a day, every 1 to 2 hours, do 8 to 10 squats. At that 20 or 30 minute mark, get up and move. Interrupt that sitting. So as long as you're not sitting and as long as you're moving, if you've interrupted that sitting behavior, that will help decrease your A1C, decrease your insulin resistance, and on top of that, that will help your overall cardiovascular and musculoskeletal health.
So that brings us to the pro tip of the week. So this week, I'm going to suggest to you, don't look at the scale. Because if you are making those small changes and you are increasing in time and intensity, and if you are doing all those right things, it's absolutely possible that you're making progress. It's just not showing on the scale, and that's completely okay. So one thing that I have learned as a registered nurse, as a professor of nursing, and now as a diabetes educator is yes, numbers are significant, but they don't tell the whole picture. How you're feeling along with the numbers do give you a good understanding of what your physical health is like. So if you're feeling good, you're eating well, being as active as you can, and you feel good, don't look at that scale. Don't be discouraged. Continue with what you're doing. Continue with those healthy habits, continue with those healthy behaviors, and eventually those numbers will fall in line along with the way that you're feeling. It's just a matter of time. So this brings me to the pro tip of the episode, that small swaps lead to big impact. One small step at a time, one small increment towards a healthy, happy life lead to big impact. So for example, try to pick lower GI foods over higher GI foods. Maybe start with a small snack. If you're having rice cakes with coffee, instead of having only rice cakes with coffee, maybe add some peanut butter on top. This will decrease the GI value of that rice cake. So from a high GI value, it'll become a medium GI value food. And eventually, maybe try implementing that with your meals also. That way, you're able to sustainably maintain that change over time. We want to avoid behaviors that are not sustainable. So this brings me to the pro tip of the episode. Go to the grocery store, pick up your favorite food and read that nutrition label. Figure out, were you eating too much or too little or just perfect of all of the macronutrients? Does the ingredient list have less than 7 ingredients? Can you pronounce all of those ingredients on that ingredient list? All of these questions will help you understand whether you're making an informed choice and whether you're making a healthy choice as to what you're putting into your body. So that brings me to the pro tip of this episode. My pro tip is to track patterns, not numbers. So a single high or a single low, it does not define your diabetic journey. But recognizing those patterns, recognizing those triggers, they will empower you as to how to prevent them. So do not ignore the symptoms that your body is sending you. If you reward your body today with good, tight glycemic control, it will reward you in the future. Check your fasting blood sugar and your 2-hour post-meal sugar, and keep a food diary to understand the patterns, understand those triggers, what causes the high, what causes your lows. This will give you a good idea, good information and evidence as to how you can plan your future meals, how you can plan your future exercise. You'll start to see what are your triggers, and this is more powerful than any algorithm or any app. So this brings me to the pro tip of that episode. If you have been avoiding that meter, don't. Use that meter to empower you. Use that meter for evidence. Start checking those numbers with purpose. Once you start testing with purpose, watch those numbers fall in line. Watch those A1Cs decrease. Watch your insulin resistance get so much better and increase your insulin sensitivity. Watch your energy levels go up, and most importantly, watch that quality of life increase by leaps and bounds. Now this brings me to the last little piece, which is the pro tip of the episode. If you decide that you want to have a CGM, don't just wear it, learn from it. Each data point is a feedback loop for you to track your meals, track your sleep, track your exercise, and track it for 3 days, just 3 days, okay? Monitor all of these things for just 3 days, so that way you're able to understand, you're able to correlate what went right and what went wrong during that particular day, so that way you're able to make a better plan in the future, so you're not in those highs or you're not in those lows, and your time in range is more than 70%. Whether you are a patient with type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, on oral medications, only using lifestyle and diet as your method of intervention, it doesn't matter. Use those numbers to create a simple, actionable plan. And remember, you're aiming for trends and patterns, not perfection. So that brings me to the pro tip of the episode. As I have told you again and again this episode, the brain likes repetition. The brain likes familiarity. It doesn't care if the habit or the pattern is healthy or unhealthy. It just likes that repetitive behavior. So pick one small thing this week. One small behavior, one small habit that you want to change. Pick one of the strategies that we've talked about through this episode. Interrupt your behavior, right? Change that thought process, habit stack, create an environment that is conducive to the lifestyle that you want to lead. There are so many things that you could do to just change those neural pathways, to change the chemistry of your brain, so that way you are not feeding into that reward system loop that is causing you to have those glucose spikes. And once you have implemented this, track how it feels, your energy, your focus, your self-worth, your self-control. You're just going to feel amazing because you have achieved something that you haven't been able to achieve previously, because you haven't broken that feedback loop. You haven't dopamine detoxed, so to speak. Remember, change is really hard, but it doesn't have to be mighty. So one small step at a time will help you achieve your goals long term. So this brings me to the pro tip of the episode. You do not necessarily need to engage in an intensive therapy if that is not your path. Okay, so if you feel like you can't do it, you need to take small steps at a time to have big impact. Absolutely go for it. But what is important is to actually get started, and whatever habit you decide to change, to stay as consistent as possible, because it's not perfection that we're aiming for consistency. So if you decide that you are going to limit sugar to one small piece of dark chocolate per day, that's it. Keep it at that. Stick to that. See how you feel, see what your energy is like, see what your focus is like over 1 week, and then keep going. That energy, that focus, that feeling will keep you motivated to keep going for the next 3 months. For the following 6 months, it will just help you keep going because you're doing so well. It's that reward system, that loop feedback that is getting you to being sustainable. You may not see results immediately, that weighing scale may not move immediately, but if you just stay at it, I am 100% sure that you will see results eventually in that weighing scale, it will have to move. Okay, so don't worry, the weighing scale is going to get there also. And most importantly, most importantly, is you are changing your biological story, not just for you, but also for your future generation, because you're modifying your risk factors and rewriting that story and choosing a quality of life. So thank you so much for listening to the episode all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. I think this episode, needless to say, has been such a call to action for you to just implement that one small step at a time, change one habit one day at a time for big impact in the future. Because really what we're looking for is changing that biological story, changing those risk factors that put you, your own health, your quality of life, and your future generations at risk. So we don't want that. We want to change that narrative. If you took away anything at all from this episode, don't forget to share and subscribe and share with your friends and family who might benefit from this information. To share and subscribe is absolutely free of cost. It helps me create more content that is evidence-based and create a happier, healthier community for us in the future, for all of us to rewrite our biological story that includes a healthy, happy life. So until next time, please stay happy, healthy, and kind.